Hey everyone, in this video we'll be talking through how to value a property, especially in this kind of hot market, right? I'm sure you guys are missing out on properties. They're selling like hotcakes, so to speak. It's really frustrating when you keep putting offers on, but you still keep getting outbid, outbid. It becomes frustrating, you give up. So in this quick video, maybe just 5-6 minutes, we'll just go through a few tips on how to value property so that you don't overpay. Obviously that's very important, but also so that you don't underpay, if that makes sense. Because if you're always underbidding, if you don't know the true valuation, then great properties are gonna just go by, and you're gonna be left where you could have made $100,000 this year, just on the sidelines. So hopefully this kind of more practical video, brings a ton of value. My name's PK, and I help people build passive income through property investing using data, using processes like this, without needing a buyer's agent, because none of this is rocket science, and this channel exists to help you get ahead through real estate. So if you do get ahead, if you learn something, hit the subscribe button, turn notification bell on, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. That helps me. YouTube sends it to more people. So you've probably seen something like this before, right? Comparative market analysis. You can go on ANZ, CBA, Westpac, all these apps, Domain, Property Valuer. There's so many, online automatic bank valuation tools. The problem is, and I know that most of you probably use them, the problem is that they're all wrong. And how can I say that? Is because they're not up to date with the current market, right? So if property prices are going up by $10,000 a month, let's say, in a given suburb, these valuation tools, automatic tools, you could say, that are meant to make life easy, they still sometimes use comparables to value your property, or to value the property that you're interested in, that was sold a month ago, or that was sold 6 months ago, or that was sold a year ago. Property is valued as per the similar properties that were sold before it. We call them comparables. And if you're looking at properties that were sold ages ago and saying, oh, that one sold for $500,000, therefore my one should be worth $500, but the market has moved $50,000 in the interim, in that time period, then your property is not worth $500, even though an identical one was sold 6 months ago for $500. It's worth $550. All right, so that's the first point I want to make. Tools like this, although somewhat useful, are really not accurate. And the second problem with them is you go to 5 different automatic valuation tools online, like the ones I just mentioned. They all give you different ratings. They all give you different valuations. And they have something like this here called the confidence scale. And sometimes confidence is very low, sometimes confidence is moderate, and sometimes confidence is high. And you might be wondering, where does that confidence come from? Effectively, that confidence rating comes from how good the comparables that they found are, right? How good those comparables are. For example, if you're looking at a property, let's say, I don't know, in Cessnock, and the closest inferior property is like a whole 2-bedroom difference. It's 300 square meters difference. And the next superior property is, once again, materially different, like it's been just renovated, or something great about it, like a view. Not that you had that in Cessnock. It's kind of hard to say where yours stacks up. Like let's say the superior one was 700,000, the inferior one was 450. Yours is going to be worth between 450 and 700, but it's hard to put your finger exactly what its valuation would be. So that's why the confidence intervals, or these ratings, are used. But even still, you can't really rely on them. So I just want to make that point. Don't rely on these automatic bank valuation techniques. What you really need to do is go to the comparables section. All right, so you don't need a report like this to tell you what the comparable should be. You can just go to Domain or realestate.com, not in the for sale section, the sold section of those websites, and see, find a list of 10, 15 comparables that was sold in the last 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. Okay, just like this. Maybe you go on real estate and you'll see something like this. You'll be able to say, all right, what was it sold for? What was the sale date? All that kind of thing. And then the idea is that you compile a list of properties that are very similar to the one you're looking to value. Maybe you make a list of 10 properties, 5 that are just a bit inferior, 5 that are just a bit superior, and you know what they sold for, right? And you stack them up in terms of, all right, what was their land size? Number one, most important thing. How many bedrooms do they have? Number two, most important thing. Number three is how old are they? And number four, perhaps the built up area, the floor area of the house. There are many other things to consider as well when valuing a property, which, obviously go into in the Property Investment Accelerator. But this video should be able to give you kind of, there's that 80-20 rule. This video should be able to give you 60-40, most of how to value it. Obviously, the the long tail, the nuance, the detail matters a lot. But the 60-40 is if you use these 4 factors, the age of the property, the number of bedrooms, how big it is in terms of land size, and the flooring area, and you use these 4 factors to compare what is the most closest inferior property, maybe that was sold for 400, and the most closest superior property, maybe that was sold for 410, then you know that your property is worth around 405. Right? And there's all sorts of other things to consider, like indexing and things like that, which I might go into. But hopefully that's starting to make sense, right? You just kind of, this whole property thing, valuing property, making sure you don't overpay, is so confusing. It can come across as confusing, but it's like having a hot knife to butter. This whole property confusion overwhelm is like butter, but when you have the right data, you have the right techniques, you have the right processes, it's like having a hot knife. It just slices through that butter, melts it. It's so easy to, this is kind of weird, spread the butter on your toast. That analogy went too far. So do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard. Use those 4 factors, use these comparables from free sources like real estate and domain. It's not hard to do. Buyers agents do the same thing. It takes probably all of an hour to do it for a particular suburb once you know how to. So hopefully this brought you value. If it did, hit the subscribe button, turn notification bell on, and once again, you can just go to Residex like I have here. This is from Residex, and get a free valuation report as well. It might just help in terms of stress testing what you've done. You can ask your broker for an AVM or an automatic valuation as well. It's not going to be perfect. Use your own valuation as gospel, but it's good to kind of just back up or get some sense checking of whether what you've done is right or not. All right, so we go through this in the Property Investment Accelerator. You don't need to do the course if you don't want to, right? But I've kind of covered the main principles, right, to make sure you don't make mistakes. But there's obviously a more scientific way, an automatic way, more refined way based on data to get everything just right, including whether it's renovated, views, slopes, other things like that that are important. You definitely don't want to be overpaying in this market, but at the same time, you don't want to be trying to get a huge discount and just missing out on properties one weekend after another, because every single week property prices are rising in basically most parts of Australia. Hopefully that brought a ton of value, guys. If it did, turn the notification bell on, hit subscribe. Most importantly, give it a like or a thumbs up, and links below to the Facebook group, more than 10,000 people, where we have discussions like this every single day. My podcast, where we dive deeper into these types of things, and obviously my website. My name's PK. I wish you all the best, guys. Catch you later.